Hello everyone. Today I would really like to make some Slovenian Pogača with you. It's a very simple and easy bread to make, and it's something we've been really loving these past few weeks to make here at home, and we've been taking it up to the cabin with us because it's very simple, very hearty, very tasty, and I really hope you enjoy it. Let's get started. All right, so the first thing that we're going to do is activate our yeast. I have about 15 grams of fresh yeast here. The whole recipe is going to be linked down below, so you can follow along if you like. I used about 15 grams instead of 20, which is what it calls for because this is fresh yeast and it's really active, basically. So we're going to take this, and then I have 1/2 teaspoon of sugar and 1/2 deciliter of lukewarm water and 2 spoons of plain flour. And then we're just going to mix this up. The cool thing about fresh yeast, which I didn't know about before starting to work with fresh yeast, was that it actually melts with sugar. So if you put the sugar and the yeast together alone, the sugars actually melt the yeast and it turns into this really cool kind of soup. So I wish I had shown you that. So we're just going to mix this up and try to get it a bit dissolved. Yeah, that looks good. And then we're just going to let this sit for maybe about 10 minutes so it can proof the yeast a little bit. All right, so this is what it looks like. I actually added 1 more teaspoon of flour because I read my notes wrong. But as you can see, the starter looks nice. It's nice and fluffy. So what we're going to do is I have 500 grams of flour here, minus the 3 teaspoons. And what I'm going to do is just add this in. And then I have 300 milliliters of lukewarm water. And then I've got 2 teaspoons of salt. And I'm just going to mix. So after I mix this up, I'm gonna fold it out onto the table, and it needs to be kneaded for 8 minutes. Okay. So we've got that, and we're gonna dust our surface with flour. And it always helps to have extra flour on hand just to dust the surface more if you need it. Or if the dough starts to look a little sticky, then we can always add more. The dough that we're looking for is uniform and not sticky. So if it's at all sticking to your hands during the kneading process, just add a little bit more flour. Okay. So I just cleaned out the bowl that had the dough bits in it, and I'm just going to add a little touch of oil just to coat the bottom and get it all moved around in the pan, or in the bowl, I mean. And then I'm just going to take this guy right here and put it in the bowl. And I'm just going to cover this and let it sit for an hour or until it doubles in size in a warm place. It's been kind of a chilly day today, so I'm just going to turn on one of the burners on the stove for a second and then set this next to it, not on top of it. And then I'll let it sit for an hour and I'll be back. Alrighty, so I have this beautiful dough. It's pretty much doubled in size, and I've got the oven going to 220 Celsius. So we're gonna do this. I'm gonna grab the oil and just put some on the bottom there. And once again, just smear it around. And then we're gonna take this beautiful beast and lightly coax it out of the bowl. And then I need a touch more oil for my hands, just so they don't stick at all. It's actually kind of a lot. All right, so we're just going to gently ease this out. The thing about this Pogača is that you want it kind of in like a dome shape. So the center is going to be a little bit higher than the outside. Get that even. And you want to do it in a pretty even circle. It's a little high. I'm just gonna scoot that out. All right, that's pretty much good. So once this is all molded out, the next step, which makes it which gives it its signature style, is we're going to take this spatula and we're going to make deep lines inside this Pogača. And you want them to be, I don't know, maybe about an inch apart. And don't worry if the bubbles in the yeast fall just a little bit while you're doing this. It's not a big deal. You don't want to make the lines all the way out to the edge. You want to give it just a little bit of a lip so it stays in place. And also you don't want to cut all the way down to the pan. You can go pretty far, but as long as you don't feel it like actually tap the pan, we're good to go. It's very simple. The first time I did this, I tried it with the back of a knife and it did not work. It was a lot stickier and it was harder to do this with, so we found that using the spatula works really well. All right, and then the other way. A nice thing about this is that once it's finished, it is really easy to break apart. So you don't actually have to worry about cutting it or anything like that. You can just tear slices or little chunks off, essentially. When we're done with this, I have an egg wash here, and I am going to give it a nice wash with the egg and top it with salt, and that's it. This is such an easy recipe to do. It's like basically foolproof. There's really no way you can mess this up if you have the right ingredients and your yeast is active. It's just really super simple. So here's my egg wash. This is just a beaten egg with just a little touch of water. All right, so that's done. And you just want to give this a pinch, like, you know, it ain't a science. Maybe 2 pinches. Just want to make sure I get all the little spots. This isn't even a teaspoon, so, okay. All right, and that's done. So we're gonna put it in the 220 oven for 25 minutes and then it'll be ready. Let's do it. All right, here it is. Isn't this a gorgeous loaf of bread? It is just super nice. Let me set the camera down so I can take a piece off and show you. All right, here it is. Let's give it a taste. This is such good bread. And it's still warm and oh, it's just so good. It's so satisfying. And I love that you can eat it in strips like this and you don't have to make a mess when you pull it apart. There's no cutting, there's no crumbs anywhere. It's just such a good bread. And I love that little bit of oil on the bottom makes for a nice crispy bottom. And the top has the nice little salty bits and the nice like shiny egg wash top. This is such a good bread. I am so happy with this. I really hope that you try this out too because it's such an easy bread to work with. And it doesn't take very long. Like there's not like a long multiple kneading process. It's just really simple and really delicious. We're going to take this up to the cabin tomorrow and the next day if it lasts that long. And yeah, we're going to eat it. All of it, probably half of it tonight for dinner. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up down below or maybe leave a comment to tell me what you think of this and if you want me to do more videos where I'm cooking. We will be putting up garden videos and various cabin videos as well. Also, I've been doing a couple little video clips on TikTok. I'll put my username in the description down below as well. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video, and I hope that you're having as good a time as you can during these times. I know that things are starting to open up. Slovenia is opening up this week as well. So I hope that you're doing as well as you can, and take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.